We have a listening audience as well. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to try to be as expeditious as we possibly can. The day is long, and we want to thank everyone for taking time out of your schedules to come. You know, even if you retired and just around the house, you thought of our robbery to come. And I have a saying that as long as we keep showing up, we win. Just keep showing up. People want to see standing room only. This is great because your voices will be heard, and this makes this board better. Okay, we represent the county, from county line to county line, and we are by ordinance the official Black voice of Miami-Dade County. Everybody has a voice, right? But as far as the Board of County Commissioners, every year we make a report on the state of Black Miami or Miami-Dade. All right? We're gonna move forward. Does everybody have an agenda who wants one?
Got quorum now.
No, pull it up. All right, let's get started. See, he's on the south end, almost the homestead, right?
Exit 5.
Exit 5. You don't get it, you know, start the countdown, you get to exit 1, you might as well keep on to Monroe County. All right, Rich, let's go ahead and do our roll call this time.
Good morning,
Morning.
Mr. Pierre Rutledge,
Present.
Mr. Ronald Mumford,
Present.
Mr. Wright is on his way, Mr. Brandon Bartley,
Present.
Mr. Cleveland Bell,
Present.
James Blake is traveling. Dr. Germany Dixon has graduation today.
All right.
Mr. DJ Fabian is on his way. Mr. Athene Gervais, Stephen Hunter Johnson, Dr. Robert Malone.
Yes.
Dr. Tissa Thompson. Janetta Newby Powell. Present. Mr. Jihad Rashid.
Present.
Ms. Sandy Sears. Present. Ms. Phyllis Simpkins.
Present.
Mr. Cliff Thomas.
Here.
Ms. LaShawn Thomas. Present. Mr. Chair, we have quorum.
That deserves a round of applause. It's difficult at 10, 7 o'clock in the morning. There must be something special going on in Coconut Grove, right?
You don't know.
And you know what? And I'm gonna do something in our public comments, and y'all can decide out there who you want to do it, to give a brief history of Coconut Grove.
Let me introduce her, please. Okay.
If you'll join us in a moment of silent meditation this time, greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Let's start with some introductions. We'll start on this end, on my left, of our board members.
Morning, everyone. My name is Dora. I'm a member of the board.
Rivers House, if they versus substance abuse, successful reentry citizen, and I served
Pierre Rutledge.
Black Heritage Planning Subcommittee, and I am Director of Grant Reporting and Compliance for Lotus House Women's Shelter in Overtown.
Cliff Thomas, I'm in healthcare management and also co-chair of the healthcare committee.
Good morning, I'm Sandy Sears, retired hospital CEO, member of the Health Committee on this.
Good morning, Rita Boone, Program Director for the Miami-Dade Black Affairs Advisory Board. Throughout the week.
I mean, y'all give it up for our communications, both over there. Introduce yourself. Before we get started, I just, all right. Say I try to be a little nicer. Charge it to my head and the directions we have here, not my heart. I gotta do my job, right? That's why I'm here. So,
Chairman, so that you all got copies of the minutes for the prior meeting, but we did not have quorum. So I'll need you to approve the minutes for the prior meeting, which would have been March.
So
Okay.
moved.
it's
Second.
been moving properly second, and we'll approve the minutes from the March meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, have like right. Hearing none, motion carries. Ready? Introductions. Let's do this. Let's tee it up for an intro of Coconut Grove, where we are.
Okay. Let's start off with, I consider is our representative, a widely elected representative of Coconut Grove, the president of Coconut Grove. He's officially the president of the Coconut Grove Village West Homeowners and Tenants Association. And that's Clarice Cooper. And please, Clarice, just amplify, open up and a little bit latitude for Coconut Grove and its outlook and its station. And then I'm followed by Dr. Rick Holster.
Good morning,
Morning.
Okay, as was said, my name is Clarice Cooper. I am a lifelong Coconut Grove resident and am currently the president of the Coconut Grove Village West Homeowners and Tenants Association. I'm also treasurer of the Elizabeth Burrick Park Committee. I'm treasurer of the Grove Rights and Community Equity, and I'm also a director of the Coconut Grove Democratic Club and co-captain of the West Grove Community Emergency Response Team. And also Goombay is coming up. I'm also on the Goombay Historical Committee, and I'm also a staunch supporter of the George Washington Carver High School Alumni Association. And all of these involvements should prove how committed I am to this community.
Did you leave anything off? That you're God's child. I mean, we got it all, right?
Much anticipated and world-class arts festival in February, and rushing with the Junkanoo Band and sampling conch fritters and conch salad at the Goombay Festival in June. Let me give you some information about the Grove for you to digest. As was listed in the county's communication about this morning's meeting that we're all gathered for, Coconut Grove was founded by Bahamian settlers in the mid-1800s and is the oldest neighborhood in the city of Miami. Coconut Grove had operated as a township until its annexation to the city of Miami in 1925. The city of Miami was incorporated in 1896 and it bore the signatures on its incorporation documents of several residents of Coconut Grove. Now, Coconut Grove's Black population was made up of Bahamians who came to the United States and Southerners from the American South, and that included Central and North Florida, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Due to the segregated conditions in force in this country at that time, the Blacks in Coconut Grove were relegated to reside and coexist in a section of Coconut Grove, which resulted in an appreciable blending of their cultures and customs. We are interchangeably referred to as West Grove, Village West, and Little Bahamas of Coconut Grove. The Little Bahamas of Coconut Grove designation was approved by the Miami City Commission in 2022 by way of a resolution that was introduced by our then Commissioner for District 2, Ken Russell, and it was resoundingly supported by the United States Congresswoman Frederica S. Wilson, who I'm sure you're all familiar with. Evangelist Street was the hub of this community, and that was where local businesses thrived and most social took place. Evangelist Street was renamed Charles Avenue, and markers are installed at both ends of the street to reflect its historical designation. And Charles Avenue is about 3 blocks south of where we are now. Mrs. Mariah Brown was born in Eleuthera in the Bahamas in 1851, and she was one of the earliest settlers here to arrive in Coconut Grove. The house in which she lived, which is on Charles Avenue, but then it was Evangelist Street, was built in 1890 and is currently undergoing restoration to become a museum and visitor center. The Mariah Brown House is owned by the Coconut Grove Cemetery Association that also owns and maintains the Coconut Grove Cemetery on Charles Avenue. Ebenezer Woodbury Franklin Stirrup, known really as EWF Stirrup Sr., who became a prominent Black land developer in Coconut Grove, arrived in the United States to Key West from Harbor Island in the Bahamas in 1888, before he eventually settled with his family here in Coconut Grove, and that was just before the turn of the century. That migratory pattern of going from the Bahamas to Key West and then going to other parts of Florida, including Coconut Grove, was followed by many of the Grove's early residents from the Bahamas. The Stirrup House is still standing on Charles Avenue, and it was built in 1897. Mr. Stirrup built and provided housing for rent and for sale for people in this community for many years. His business is still operating today by his descendants, several of whom still reside here in Coconut Grove. Charlotte Jane Memorial Cemetery was named in honor of Mr. Stirrup's wife and is located on Douglas Road between Charles Avenue and Franklin Avenue, and is where a large number of Grovites are buried. We also have 4 churches here in our community that are over 100 years old. One of those churches, which is Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, was founded in 1895. And it has the notable distinction of being the oldest African-American church in Miami-Dade County. And it is about to embark on its celebration for its 130th anniversary. Another church is Greater St. Paul African-American Episcopal Church, and that was founded in 1896. Christ Episcopal Church came into existence in 1901. And St. James Baptist Church, which is still located on Charles Avenue, was founded in 1917. And we can definitely boast about the contributions of this community's residents. Along with Mr. Stirrup and Mrs. Brown, Coconut Grove is home to many prominent individuals. Reverend Father Theodore R. Gibson, who was pastor of Christ Episcopal Church for over 40 years, and he was also a former Miami City Commissioner and was also known as a civil rights icon. He was also residing here in Coconut Grove. His widow, Velma Gibson, a retired nurse for whom the Coconut Grove Health Initiative is named. And also we have our Olympic medalists, Gerald Tinker and Larry Black. We also have Winston Everett Scott, who's a retired NASA astronaut. And whose father, Austin Scott, was the first black letter carrier at the Coconut Grove Post Office.
That's just right.
We also have Mr. Neil Cozy, who played in NFL, and his father, James Cozy, for whom a street was recently named. His father was a celebrated player in the Old Negro Business League. And that's just to name a few, in addition to the many educators, nurses, lawyers, musicians, doctors, and career military veterans that hail from this community. The Coconut Grove Sports Hall of Fame, which is located across the street, that also showcases and has an exhibit of all the athletes that came from Coconut Grove. Congressman Wilson has allocated $6 million in funding for federal funding for a museum that would showcase the history, arts, and culture of Bahamian and African American residents. And she is aggressively searching for the ideal location for this to happen. Having said all of that, I must tell you that we are faced with and are still facing some unresolved issues in this community. Several hundred residents have been forcibly displaced over time due overwhelmingly to government-sponsored housing projects and encroachment by crafty developers whose visions for construction of new buildings do not align with our expectations for affordable housing or the architectural characteristics that the Miami zoning codes provides for this district. Our ongoing but failed attempts to attain the Community Redevelopment Agency, which is the CRA here in West Grove, remains one of our biggest challenges. A CRA would drive up the certainty of restocking a housing inventory for those persons wishing to return to the Grove and for providing methods for current homeowners to renovate or upgrade their property either to age in or to pass on to heirs. Our once bustling commercial corridors on Grand Avenue here and Douglas Road to the west could be revitalized for local and tourists alike to patronize, and it also provides and it would increase investment opportunities. There are several construction projects on the table now that have either been awarded or under consideration. Please be assured that those projects are being closely monitored by our community's most loyal stakeholders, many of whom are in this room today, as our mission is to preserve this community with the fervor that our ancestors possessed and also for future generations. We welcome you, Miami-Dade Black Affairs Advisory Board, for your presence today. And we look forward to a return visit or a meeting or for collaboration by any means in handling our pending issues that we have before us. Thank you.
Let's give her a round of applause. Can we get a copy of that? No, I'm serious. If we don't preserve our history, who's gonna tell it? LaShawn may be the youngest one in the room. No, we knew people out. So if you don't pass it off to them, we don't have it, right? So you gonna give us a copy? Thank you. All right, Charles Gibson is here. He walked out.
No, you.
The grandson of Thelma Gibson and
Theodore Roosevelt.
Good morning, y'all.
Mm.
As chairman, I appreciate the introduction. My name is Charles Gibson. I am grandson of Theodore Gibson. Just to all give you a little bit additional history about myself and more importantly, the organization is that Theodore, after my grandfather passed away, the Theodore Gibson Memorial Fund was started with the vision of, originally started with the vision of having an organ donated to Christ Church. some of the board members said that that wasn't enough. Paula Gibson did too much for this organization, for this community, to just do donation. And so from that, the Theodore Gibson Memorial Fund was birthed and we did more activities. Throughout the years, the Theodore Gibson Memorial Fund did fundraisers, they did dinner sales, they did dinners, official dinners over like 35 years, and they also raised money during the art festival. As a result of all of these fundraisers, the Memorial Fund bought different parcels of land what we see here today. This property right here sits on about, I think, 6 or 8 parcels of land that we had accumulated over time. And as a result of that, you see this building that's built.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I think everyone should know, especially in this setting, is that the Memorial Fund, a Black organization, was the first organization to build something like this on Grand Avenue. And I think that's something good. Our partners, of course, Mr. Rashid was very instrumental in helping this building come to pass. We also had Pinnacle, who was instrumental as well, helping with the building. But I want you all to know that a Black organization owns this building.
Awesome.
Other things that the Memorial Fund did throughout this, with social services, are very proud of. The Thelma Health Initiative came from us, and they branched out on that, and they're very successful. But in closing, I just want you all to know, I want to introduce myself to you as an organization. I want you all to understand the building that you're in.
Charles, we're glad to have you, and I think that he's finally given us the cheat code. If you want to control development in your community, what do? You got to buy the land. It's simple. Or don't sell the land. Right? You got to, they bought the land and assembled this. But if they would have not endeavored to buy the land, we'd have been back here, you know, how that circle goes. Charles, thank you very much. Give her our regards to your grandmother. And tell her we're in a building named after her, right? And your grandfather. That's pretty good. I'm gonna move the agenda. I like to recognize someone in the back, and they really don't want recognition. The new program director for the Commission of Women, would you please stand and be recognized? Don't do that. All right.
Well, I just want to say that I am very excited to be here. The Commission for Women is an advisory board, and we also produce the Status of Women report in Miami-Dade County. And this report highlights disparities and inequities that women and girls are facing in Miami-Dade County. And one in particular that I think is incredibly pertinent, and I think is honestly a health crisis, is that the Black maternal mortality rates of women are 5 times higher than white women. And it is something that needs to be addressed, obviously with urgency, as we all understand. And I think that a lot of the work that we do, we have the data, but it's important that the data is also connected to the narratives and to the community voices. So we invite you to attend our meetings, to share your perspective, your voice, if there's an organization in particular that's addressing and working with Black women, Black mothers, and they are addressing these issues. We want to hear from you as the experts and the lived experience. So thank you all.
And thank you for coming.
I'd also like to mention that Dr. Martin and I are going to be working on something, collaboration for that particular issue for Black maternal issue.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to our meeting. All right, I'm gonna get this right. And I said his chairman gave me 3 minutes, and it was like Ballville. He pulled me off, turned the volume off. But we're gonna be nice. Next voice you hear is Mr. Bill Diggs from the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust. Welcome.
Well, to the chairman, brothers, and the members.
And before you get going, Mr. Diggs was one time he was bow-legged. He's had double knee replacement and they couldn't give him the naturally born bow-leg. So just to see him on his feet, he had both knees done at the same time.
That's
And I've got Ronald Mumford to thank, for being my partner
Yes, sir.
and friend.
Yes, sir.
and
Yes, sir.
friend.
Yes, sir.
Ronald came to me, helped me to figure out what to do, came to my house, brought me equipment, helped me to understand. That brother has been good to me.
Yes, sir. My pleasure, brother. My
I
pleasure.
want to move this to the side a little bit. I'm not going to take long, but I do want to take greetings to all of you in the home of Black land in Coconut Grove. With the word strong enough to help you understand that in the beginning of my day, when I came to Miami as a young father, my mother-in-law, God bless her soul, is passed on. Her name was Violet Turner. We call her Miss Monkey. She's from Cat Island. And she brought me to the Grove, and then she said, after coming here, she said, I want you to come to Goombay. And set up a little booth, and I made enough money to buy myself my first home. Caring enough about this young father who at the time was just out of college and had more student debt than the law would allow. I came back here today when I heard from school that you all were having a meeting. I have on my Malcolm X couplings. I remember this growing up in Augusta, Georgia in the 70s when my father had retired from the military and used his grant, in the military, the VA loan to buy a home. Only for that home in Augusta, Georgia, out in the heart of South Augusta, there was no Black family at all. My daddy said, I'm gonna build this house because I spent 2 tours of 911 in Korea and they owe it to me. Well, they tried to run us out of there. They firebombed the house and did a whole lot of other things. Call this nigga on the record. And if we're not careful, we're gonna get back there.
Amen.
And I came here today to let you all know that while the Black Affairs Advisory Board and the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust have always been partners, this is a clarion call for us to get extremely close. Because we are the definition of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are that. We consider ourselves to be the go-to organization for economic development within the Black community. We were created, built, and pushed hard by the Black Affairs Advisory Board for them to be giving birth to the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust. Let it be no doubt that we are inextricably connected. And the work that we have to do is serious. And I want to tell you about one of the most serious pieces of work that we do, that as I drive through the different corridors of what used to be Coconut Grove that we now kind of unaffectionately call West Grove, and that saddens me too. I see the streets changing every day. We've got a program that we call the rehabilitation program. And basically in my office, we call it Don't Sell Grandma's House, where we're spending up to $50,000 per home as a grant to repair the homes of the indigenous folks. And we're doing it in North Miami, Miami Gardens, it's countywide. And we run out of money and we need more. Because if someone in this community who is now on a fixed income, who has a very small home, and knocking on the floor and offering them $2 and $3 million to sell their houses and they got nowhere else to go, that house needs to be repaired. And so our grant dollars that we can give to you, and it's a loan, but it's a loan as long as you stay in your home, you never have to repay it, you don't pay on it while you're in it. And so we fix roofs, floors, we've changed from houses from fuses, the circuit breakers, so that you can be proud again, so the children can come back and have a new home. So as we're out there talking to the county, and we always work with Rita and with, your chairman, Mr. Rutledge, we want to let you know that we need for this to be the last definition of Coconut Grove being West Grove. We don't need for it to be, used to be West Grove, used to be Coconut Grove. And so I need for you to understand that we value this partnership with the Black Affairs Advisory Board. We believe in what we do, but I gotta tell you, there's gonna come a time when we're gonna have to stand down there at County Hall and make sure that we can continue to survive. And it ain't gonna be cute, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know that I feel it coming in my bones. I felt it before. And y'all know when they come after everybody else, that it's a head fake. Because they meant to come after us first. But I can promise you, we'll be the last people to come after. But make no doubt about it. Make no doubt about it, they're coming. And as they do, you need to understand that if they come for us and you don't come to help, they'll come for you next. So thank you for allowing me to be here. We just completed our audit. And I want to say this because it's very important, because everybody that seems to be of your color may not be of your kin. External audit, clean, unqualified, every dime has been accounted for. We are in better shape than almost every other agency in the county. We value the fact that we run the business the way a business ought to be run. So I want to say to you, thank you for allowing me to be here this morning. I appreciate all of you. I just stand here as a representative of the county with the idea that as the organization that is at the head of the DEI program and project, I consider it to be an honor to be considered to be a Black man in a Black agency helping Black folk.
And that's it.
Thank you.
Fact. Thank you.
You have a question?
Could you give us a phone number and the name of the person we need to contact with regards to Don't Sell Grandmother's House program?
Yeah, now mind you, that's Bill Diggs' brand. It's not even in the county. It's called the Rehabilitation Program.
Oh.
And it's 305-375-5661. And Marquise Best, MarquisBest. That is his name. I want to be clear, I want to help you understand something. That as we go into the new budget season, we have run out of money in this program. Now, what that means is that we've got 30 or so houses that we're doing now. And the monies have already been allocated to construction companies to do the work. So the program is in full swing, but we have a long waiting list. Our goal is to go before the county and get more money. We've got a meeting coming up Thursday where we're asking for more money. Every time they see me coming, they know I'm coming asking for money. So my point is, as we continue to make those asks, we're going to continue to ask you to support us with the idea that we can do more in the growth that we need.
That's right.
Good enough?
Mr. Chair, privilege. Just before you go, Mr. Diggs, I just want Ms. Folini to stand up just so you can, she's the executive director of Rebuilding Together Miami-Dade. I want us to meet and talk, compare notes, okay? And before you depart, if Mr. McCants is there, doing some of the same kind of work, okay?
And
All
two of my
right.
staff members here, so they stand, please, let me know who they are. This is Thomas Mingo and Jerry Milwaukee. Now, Thomas Mingo is the son of a brother who's a construction guru here in our town. And then Jerry Milwaukee, of course, I love her name, she's a Kenyan sister. They are the head of our research and advocacy organization. We're now developing white papers, great information around our community. So their role is to, if you will, to continue to analyze. And it's something that we didn't have before, but we told somebody, we want to measure 4 times and cut once. Well, in the past, we didn't do that, but now we are. So we have gotten smart. We understand exactly what Coconut Grove used to look like, street, address, and location. We understand how much money there used to be. We understand how much money there is, and we're beginning to provide projections in regards to what's to come. I'll have to tell you that because you live it, so you know. But that's the role of them. They're one of 4 divisions. We have housing, economic development, and then also we have youth services. So along with legislative and research. So those are 4 divisions. Thank you.
All right, any questions from the board? Any questions from the community?
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Mr. Bell?
I just wanted to, in following up to Mr. Diggs' point that he made, I think that, timing is everything. And maybe a year or 2 ago, we started coming into the neighborhoods of the different areas. I think the timing is right. I think that it would behoove us to look at our social media and find out how to make these meetings even more eventful than they are. Because this is going to be the lifeline of what we do as it relates to the future. It is important for us to remember the history. Because if we can remember history, it'll save us time in terms of future, because we won't have to make as many mistakes. Because we got history storytellers here that saw it when it was. And if we can find a way to communicate that through our board here and through our meetings, I think it would be the right thing for us to do. It is the timing is right. And I wanted this director and to the chair, thanks so much for getting us out into the community. And now that we're here, can we do more than what we're doing? And I realize time is always an issue, but anything that I can do to help facilitate that, I'd like to.
Gotcha. Any more comments? I'd like to recognize some folk. They're the residents from South Miami. Would you please stand? I'll hit them around the ball. We're glad that you're here. This was a dream of this board, not me, but of this board, to take our meetings out into the community. And this is a testament when you have, I won't say West Grove because I don't want to hear Mr. Diggs, when you have Coconut Grove, MD, South Miami, and concerned stakeholders all come together merely because we brought this meeting out to them. If you can't come to us, we're coming to you because your concerns, your suggestions are important. So thank you all, South Miami, for coming into Coconut Grove for this meeting. We appreciate you. There was someone mentioned Goombay. Is there a representative here from Goombay?
I'm on the Goombay committee, and Goombay is back, will be operating June 6th, 7th, and 8th. 6th will be the start of the Goombay, and we're gonna have a function on Umberson Park where Commissioner Pardo and other dignitaries of the Goombay will be presented, and there will be entertainment and gaming cuisine for all to come and enjoy.
Thank you for that. Mr. Rashid, phone just went off, so
Beeps don't count.
it beeped. If it was on silent, it wouldn't beep. So at your leisure, the $5 over the message, so it goes to the kids of Coconut Grove. Isn't that something? All right. We have Rick Holton here, and Rick always has something positive for us. He has many hats, and he's one of the stalwarts with the 5,000 role models of excellence. But that's just part of what he does.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Rick Holton. I'm not going to take up a lot of time because apparently some of the things that I was going to say with respect to the history of Coconut Grove has been said. However, I'm going to be brief. I'm going to be short, but I have some sweet things to say. I live 3 minutes from here. This is my home. I've been here 3 minutes for about 73 years. So it's always been said that Coconut Grove is so quiet. We don't have problems. The riots never occur in Coconut Grove. Coconut Grove is all right. But let me tell you, and I'm going to challenge you, board, don't let this be your last time.
Amen.
We need your help.
Yes.
Although we're quiet, you never hear from us. This is the time, and I challenge you to not make this your first time, but to come back again. I served as 15 years for the president of the Coconut Grove Local Development Corporation, tasked with the responsibility of doing economic growth and development from Cocoa Walk all the way down the corners of Grand Avenue. If you are traveling northbound on US 1 from Grand Avenue, you take a quick look to your right. You see a series of pastel color homes. That was one of our first projects. under the direction of David Alexander, and then Jihad Rashid. And then we continue on down Grand Avenue, so it doesn't stop, and it has not stopped. I'm certainly a member of the Grovites for Life. You'll start to hear about us a little later on. But again, my challenge is don't let this be the last time. We need you. We want you. I'm not speaking from a intellectual perspective, but I'm talking about for the boys now, for the boys in the hood, from the hood, because you never hear from them. Doesn't stop. Telecast. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
I'm like the MC, ladies and gentlemen, Rick Holt. We had a public servant, and I don't want to say dignitary or somebody important. Their family, where's she going? Their family has served this community for a long time. Come from a strong lineage of public servants. Father was former mayor of the city of Miami. Take care. He's now the tax collector, the property appraiser. He's now the property appraiser. While you're up, we have Commissioner Raquel Regalado with us from District 7, County Commissioner. First of all, thanks for coming. And second, you have the floor. The camera's behind you, so you can come over here. We're actually live in the community, so people are tuning in through Facebook and other means. So I mean, yes.
As was mentioned, I am very proud of the project. We did amazing work. We did the building, you know, I remember when we were working on this. And once upon a time, when he ran for city commission, the first time, we didn't have districts. So in 1996, when I ran his first campaign, we actually campaigned countywide. And his seat was at citywide. It was a citywide seat for, I think, 7 years before we got this one. And then he was the commissioner for District 4. I actually grew up in this area, you know, my entire life, born and raised in Miami. I'm a Cavalier. You know.
Right.
And I live right down the street. I live by the Boys and Girls Club, right there, in Golden Pines. So I lived in the city of Miami, but I was your school board member, and I served the district on the school board. And now I'm a county commissioner. My district is very large at the county. I represent Key Biscayne, the city of Miami, Coral Gables, South Miami, Pinecrest, all the way up to the fall. And you know, it's a beautiful district. But obviously housing is the biggest challenge, right? The displacement of people, and the keeping our neighborhoods in touch and giving people the ability and to stay in the neighborhoods that they grew up. And I know that that's the biggest challenge, right? So I got a lot of heat at the county when I brought the ADU ordinance. Keon and some others supported me, and that's for unincorporated. And what we did is we gave people a pathway to legalize efficiencies. I had the support of the AARP and a lot of organizations. People at the county, and now the city is going to be grappling with the same thing, don't want to talk about ADUs. But for a lot of people, ADUs are the only way to keep your home, and it's the only way to age in place. So I've been a big advocate. I actually spent 3 years working with code enforcement to figure out, right, how can you legalize an ADU without destroying a neighborhood? So my ADU ordinance, which now has become, you know, what the city is focusing on, what other people are looking at, including South Miami, is, you know, it doesn't change the door, can't be in the front, you can't change the look of it, you can't Airbnb it. Airbnb is destroying our neighborhoods. In my neighborhood, Golden Pines, all those houses have efficiencies, mine included. And all those efficiencies are now Airbnbs.
because of our zip code. What happens is when they go on these
Mm.
platforms, 33133, you know, and there you are. I have two buildings, right on the other side that used to provide long-term rentals for people, and now they are exclusively Airbnb. So if you can imagine the displacement, we're talking about 65 units, right?
Mm.
And nothing against Airbnb, right? Like I'm not like anti that, but the problem is that it's eliminating a price point for us, right? And it's pushing people further down south, because these properties are so attractive. And I can't fault the homeowners, because why would they rent to someone for a month for 1,500 when they can make 600 on a long weekend, right? So I get it, I understand, right? But my ADU ordinance prohibits it being used as Airbnb. And it allows you to carve out the ADU if you're renting it from your homestead exemption, but you keep your homestead exemption, right? You don't lose it. And it doesn't impact it, because that was one of the big fears that people had. So we're really excited that the city is looking at it too. It is an opportunity for people to age in place. My father and I are actually working on something for the next legislative session, which is a change to portability. So we are all homestead hostages. It actually, if you sold your home and you moved to an apartment, you would be paying more taxes. So it doesn't make sense, right? Which is why we have, almost 67,000 people that have left Miami-Dade County. And in the last 2 years. And the reason is that they sell here and they move to Naples, or they move to Sarasota, or they move to Orange, and some of them leave the state. So we have a huge percentage, 35, that are leaving the state. And portability is the reason. So we drafted something that we're working with our legislators that based on population, right? And allowing, people the opportunity, and then we raise the portability caps, but then we also add CPI to it. So that you can actually sell your property and continue with your saver homes. Because right now the cap is $500,000. I mean, that doesn't really help anybody, right? When you look at downside. So, the other thing that I'm working at, and Diallo and Dave are here, they take fire for me on the baby. So I want to thank them, they're wonderful. I get pulled in a million directions. And it really is, in order to get work done at the county, I always tell people, you have to physically be at the county pushing your legislation. So that takes up a lot of bandwidth. But we've been able to move forward with more units in the last 4 years than any other district. And that is taking into account how expensive my district is and how difficult these properties are. And a lot of it has been with your input and your help in terms of redevelopment. So we're redeveloping Stuart Mundi, and it's the first RFP that comes with public meetings. So even though it was challenging to get it approved, as you know, we're still the only, by the way, I pushed this model and I showed it to all my colleagues, no one else has done public meetings. I just want to, I'm the only one that's still doing it. We're waiting for the second part to come to the Board of County Commissioners. We think that comes next month. And then we're going to be having the third public meeting where we talk about the nuts and bolts of the units. And one of the things that we should platform, which I inherited, is I just need more units so that people can move in between units. So for those of you who know what happened at Platform, we actually worked with the Thelma Gibson Foundation. We used this site. We really worked hard to get people into the lottery. We got them, and then they got dropped out because they were doing big work, and I had no units to move them to. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right? So now we're really focusing on having enough units where we can move people, and we're adding more dynamic, financial literacy in terms of the gig work. Because we know that people shouldn't be punished for working. I mean, this is a ridiculous situation that we're in. As a surprise note, with SOMI 1, hard fought, but thank you for all of your assistance with SOMI 1. We got SOMI 1 done, and now we're working on SOMI 2. And South Miami has been a great partner And we're really, excited that we're doing, Surratt Moonbeam. And then we'll be moving forward the parcel behind it. So that's another county parcel. And that one, you know, I know we've had so many public meetings. I've had so many people ask me about home ownership. We're really trying to work that into those parcels. So fingers crossed that we can get it, done. And yeah, I'm just here to answer, you know, your questions and to listen to your concerns. I mean, you have my commitment that, I love the growth, I really do. And I've tried, my best to give people the opportunity to return. It's challenging. We fought the fight, you know, in DC with this issue, and we will continue to fight it. We did get HUD to consider a change to their rule. So what I have pitched, to HUD and what we're working on is, in the past, there's several, litigations where they found that you could not do a lottery within a lottery, you know, because they say that it's in violation of their rules. What I've asked them to do is to carve out a very specific exemption for that, so that there's a countywide lottery. And that is for folks that were displaced by the same government who is providing the units. So it's like a tiny little, like, I mean, it's just us, you know, it's a tiny little, exemption. So, we are getting some traction on that. They're willing to open the rule, to do that. And obviously, you know, the county can show evidence of this. We really want. So I can't force other municipalities to do that, but I think that at least for us, that would make it a lot easier. Although I will tell you on the platform side, we did get far, you know, just giving people the resources and getting them the application and getting everyone to apply. And we'll be doing the same thing, with Surratt Moonbeam. And the other thing that I have baked into all of these RFPs is everyone must stay in the area. No one gets displaced. Actually at yesterday's, county commission meeting, I've also been making some procurement reforms, based on my overall frustration. And one of them is moving forward, all of the county housing procurement projects must include the actual contract. Let me explain why. The county puts out an RFP and then people respond to it. And then we go through this process and then they spend 8 months negotiating with the developer. And I don't understand. Wouldn't it be easier if we just started out with the terms? And if you don't like them, don't apply. Because I can't wait 8 months. In those 8 months, you know, with the price of labor and the price of materials, the unit goes up exponentially. So we've been fighting at the county about this for like 3 years, but I finally got it approved. And I actually added it to a lot of different procurement, but my initial was housing, because that's where my pain point is. And I also don't allow the mayor to add terms. Nothing against the mayor, love the administration, but they also, like, they jump in at the end, right? And they're like, oh, and these 10 things. And that slows me down too. So what we passed yesterday is, you know, when you put out the RFP, you're gonna put out your contract, you're gonna put out your terms, and there's no deviation from it. The people who respond, if they have issues with those terms, say so. And that will be considered by the selection. I'm also working on it. I know. It's crazy how long that took. But we're very excited about it. You know, this is how Broward does it, by the way. Like, I can't, you know, we did a bunch of research as to who is moving affordable units faster. And I shamed the county by explaining to them that Broward was actually doing something better than that. Because Broward from RFP to build is about, you know, when they put the shovel in, it's about a year and 2 months. That's, you know, and meanwhile, we're like 3 years here with the RFP. So the other thing that I'm working on that's taken a long time is restructuring selection committee. So that's coming soon. But we've been kind of figuring out how these things get jammed up to try to unjam them so that we can move these things along faster. And I think that's to the entire county especially. But for us in particular, especially in these redevelopments, we need to move faster. Because even how long it takes, like in the negotiation period, now with Mundi, it only took us, it took 3 months with one, 4 months with another, but it shouldn't even have taken that. It shouldn't even have taken that. It should have been like a month max. There was just really no terms to fight about, as far as I'm concerned, but we're trying to expedite that. So, so those are the things that I've been working on, and of course, happy to see your questions or comments. And like I said, my amazing staff is here. I know that Diego has been working on. I think we're repaving Maine, so we're doing, we're doing a bunch of work. And Damien has been a good partner, so we've been trying to get a lot of things done here. We're working on getting rid of the septic tank, we're finding a location. So there's a lot of things that we're doing in terms of infrastructure.
Thank you, Neil Shackman, First and foremost, we're so fortunate to have your leadership. For the premise of my question is, take this definition of gentrification for the sake of the question to you. My definition of gentrification is where a higher income moves into a lower income area to the detriment of the residents who are already there. Real simple definition. And one of the things I want to compare is Overtown, Copenhagen. Okay? I have personal knowledge of what I'm going to ask you now. One of the reasons that Overtown is being transformed, not gentrified, and Coconut Grove is being gentrified, or is gentrified, I believe, is the CRA, Community Redevelopment Agency. In other words, when the higher income moved into Overtown, nobody had to leave to make room because of that CRA and the leadership of the CRA, those residents had a place to go or to reside. That's not the case in Coconut Grove, right? And so is there any hope that we will get a CRA or a CRA type organization to assist us with some of these problems to fast track your plan, which is definitely on time?
So I'm not a fan of CRAs, they get hijacked. I can tell you that the Overtown CRA has been very lucky to have good leadership, and Keon really has stayed on top of it, but he's also had a good partner. The CRA that was pitched for the Grove had a lot of issues. The plan that it was selling was not something that was viable, and I appreciate the time that Ken put into it, but it made a bunch of promises that it simply couldn't keep. And it added a bunch of properties that were just not gonna go for this, right? It was a very broad swath. And it did not, and look, I think a lot of things that Ken did, he meant well, but if we're looking at like what happened here, I think the NPD and a lot of the things that were done were just, it wasn't played out right. It wasn't played out right. There were gaps in between when the legislation was discussed and when it was effectuated that allowed people to raise the area. And you all know what I'm talking about, right? Like, I don't need to. So we know what happened, right? So, and that's another thing, like, if you're gonna do something, you gotta do it quickly. Because if not, all you're doing, is inviting the pirates, right? So there's things there. And then there's a series of other overlays that have complicated things. Those complications don't exist in Overtown. I love the trees, I'm a big advocate, but we have an issue. We have to resolve some of these issues because it makes it very difficult to develop like these tiny lots if we're gonna build around the tree. So we gotta figure that out. And I've talked to Damien about that.
I see you,
People
son.
reach out,
I see.
all the time. So we're trying to get our heads around that because we want to preserve the canopy, but we also know that there's certain lots that are unbuildable, right? Because of this situation. So I think the difference was the process. There was a series of things, like if you're gonna do those things, you needed to build the CRA first and then do the NCD and then right? You need the order was wrong. So I don't know how much of that could be corrected. I can tell you that the biggest win of the CRA was the county properties that I'm redeveloping. That was like the biggest piece of the CRA. And I'm redeveloping them. In this last RFP, I invited adjacent landowners to come in. There was an invitation, right? And I've done that. But, you know, we continue with the issues with Miami 21, you know, and now they're talking about legal here. Like now that's like the next thing that we're talking about here, which I don't think would be a good thing, right? But that's something that's out of my hands. You know, I can only kind of give people my opinion when they talk about it. But that being said, I have met with Damien. We have talked about potentially other vehicles that we can use, and we're walking through that. The issue is, what do the actual property owners, you know, want to do? In the case of Overtown, I think David Martin did a fantastic. He had a huge piece, right? I mean, he had a huge piece of land, right? So do something truly transformative. Here we have these tiny parcels, and I have holdouts. So, you know, the only really big properties that I have are the county ones. But that being said, we're trying to figure out, you know, what we can do and how to get the units and have, to your point about what is gentrification. I agree with you. What we have is the missing middle, right? So, and by the way,
Been a while.
county, every time we have a county meeting, my colleagues are like, workforce. You know, in many of your districts, workforce is actually more than market rate.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, yeah, you know, right? So I can sit there and I'm like, I don't know who you're helping, but like, I don't think, you know. So, you know, in my district, you know, in this area, workforce is under market rate. So workforce is actually something that works for us. But, you know, so I think when we talk about AMI, you know, we have to be very careful. What I'm trying to find is places where maybe we could do garden style, which will give us from 65 to 85 AMI, you know? The issue is, you know, how do you get people to buy into that when they could do $1 million homes, right? I mean, it's a tough stuff. It's a tough stuff. So you have to like embed them, you know, in something else and then do market rate in order. And the other thing which we learned from this building and some others is if you get too prescriptive with the AMI, right, and you do not allow some market rate to float the boat, then what happens is you get a 7% increase every year.
Yeah.
And then by year 3 or 4, you're priced out. So, you know, when my colleagues say, oh,
Commissioner?
100%, you know, yeah,
How are you?
yeah. All right.
Commissioner, you're gonna have that conversation with Neil Shiver offline, cause he came in late and started all of that. We have a question here from the board.
Okay, now this is so going forward, we do have compressed time. And
We're
have
gonna
an
do this.
agenda. So, going forward, and this is to touch and open up the dialogue. We have your aides here, we'll supplement, your, aides here to make sure those questions bubble up to the right place. And we appreciate this very, very.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, right.
that's good.
Ms. Simpkins and then, Ms. Bonfire.
I had some questions because you was throwing out some letters that I truly didn't understand. What is an ADU?
Oh, an auxiliary dwelling unit. So it's an efficiency, right, an efficiency, right,
Granny
yeah,
flat.
so, yeah, it's a granny flat, right, it's a granny flat.
Okay, and you also threw out CPI.
Yes, so CPI is the Consumer Price Index. So that's the rate of inflation, and what we're doing is we're tying it to things, so you don't have to constantly come back and fix it. So, for example, the homestead exemption was put on the books in 1992, which is why it's $25,000. Because in 1992, a $25,000 credit was a big credit, right? Because you were buying a house for 110. You know, now you're buying a house for $850. Like, what's $25,000, right? So that's why we're tying CPI to it. You know, so we're trying to increase the caps to meet the current prices. And then you tie CPI to it so that it goes up the 3 or the 4% every year, because ironically, your taxes go up, right, by CPI, you know, but the exemption doesn't. So and that's a state law that we've just recently changed. That was Amendment 5.
And this is my final, wanting to know, because I believe that when you don't know, somebody should be asking the question. So I'm answering. So you mentioned some things, you said something about, units. You're standing behind units being, developed for people. Are these people gonna be people that in a situation with a low income?
Yes, so the project that we're doing at Start Mundi keeps everyone that's there. And then we add more, at the under 65 AMI. So, and then we add 65 to 85 AMI. And then I have workforce that goes all the way to 120, and then I have market rate. So the issue that we had at Platform was there were very few units. It's a very small development. So the folks that got in for, let's say, the 65% AMI, they made a little bit over. There was no unit to transfer them to. So in these new developments, one of the things that I'm focusing on is ensuring that we have units at all the different buckets. So if you apply and you get bumped, you make the lottery, you got your application, you're good, but you made a little bit more, instead of losing the unit, which is what happened on Platform, you'll just get bumped up to the next one.
Okay. We got something over here, Commissioner.
I was also gonna say something about the acronyms, but you
Yeah.
clarified.
Sorry about that.
That's
Yeah.
okay, but I wanted to thank you for your support for our Young Pillar Scholarship, and we will be sending out formal letters for that as well. I'll look forward to your activity journal.
Commissioner, let me do this before you leave, because everybody's moving now. I've been on this board quite some time. You are the first commissioner to come to this board while we've been in session, whether we've been out in the community or in the bunker that I call, where you have to go through all the metal detectors, the Stephen Clark building. So I applaud you for coming to this meeting. You are the first, since I've been here, and that's been well over 10 years, that has actually come to our meeting, stood in the paint, answered questions, gave valuable information. And ladies and gentlemen, I think, and even our viewing audience, I think for that, you should be applauded. Thank you so much. And while you're there, you're District 7. District 6 has a new commissioner, Natalie Million Orbis. She's one of us. Those of you all who don't know Natalie, well, Commissioner Orbis, she was like Retha for the Hispanic Affairs Advisory Board. And now she's actually a sitting, sworn in county commissioner. So be nice to her. You're in 7, she's in 6. Guide her along the way. Make sure she understands what all these acronyms mean. But in all seriousness, ladies and gentlemen, we have folks who are of value to this county. Not being prophetic that Ms. Bonify could eventually end up as a county commissioner. But Natalie is there. Be nice to her. She's one of us that came from the advisory standpoint, dealing with the people, as the staff liaison for the Hispanic Affairs Advisory Board. So give her our thanks. Thanks for coming and being the first.
Thank you all. So my staff is communicate every week, so I can't go to everything. I do try, but I want to thank you for your work and for your dedication. It really is appreciated. You know, at the county, we may not be able to attend everything, but we do get reports, we know what's going on. And we try our best to be responsive. I have amazing staff. It's like a great marriage. Every day I wake up and I'm so glad they're there. Because they really do handle so many issues for us. So I'll try to come as often as I can. But they really do communicate everything back, and they work a lot. I have them work a lot, but they're wonderful. And we really want to do transformative things. You know, I love the city of Miami. It is my home. I represent a lot of other municipalities, but this is a special place. And I want to make sure that, you know, we have generations that can stay here. And that nothing against the New Yorkers, God bless their heart. But, you know, they should go to the beach. I just, you know, this is our home and I wanted to stay our home, you know, and I do have my And the last thing before I go, I know it's somewhat polemic of an issue, but I'm finally fixing the playhouse after 20 years. Very excited about it. Half the stars, but the great thing about the Playhouse, this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. This morning I was at Tucker. I love Tucker. Thank you to our teachers. Thank you for serving our district. I will forever be a school board member. But I love Tucker. And one of the things that I did when I fixed the Playhouse plan is I added Tucker. So Gable Stage, who now becomes Grove Stage, is going to do programming for Tucker. They're going to do acting lessons for Tucker. They're going to bring the kids out to the Playhouse. And if you look at the new Playhouse plan, I changed the back of it and I created a pocket park. And that pocket park has outdoor seating and it's for our kids because our kids at Tucker have nowhere to go. So they're going to be able to go there. And the programming for that starts next April. I plan to open the new and restored Coconut Grove Playhouse. It's more than just the exterior, it's the original building, in April of 2027 for its 100th birthday. So we're very excited about that. And we'll be presenting the new plans again. And when you see the new plans, one of the things that is so important is that we changed it so that it no longer blocks out the West Road. If you look at the Playhouse, and I said this, people get upset when I say it was built to give its back to the West Road. It was not, people talk about who got to go to the Playhouse, the West Road did not get to go to the Playhouse. So we're changing that. It is a new design as a walkway, you'll be able to walk straight from the West Road, you know, to Main Highway, which is about time. And we're going to really honor its history, but also, you know, it needs to change its dynamic. It needs to serve the children of the Grove, all of the Grove. And we're not gonna hide behind, you know, its history. So it's gonna be a new day for the Grove with a theater that I think fits this area. It's gonna have 320 seats. I always tell people, like, everyone's like, oh, that's small. I'm like, yeah, when 320 people fall on Coconut Grove Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're all gonna be calling me. So we're working on the traffic, you know, situation and how we're gonna deal with that. But it is gonna be a great opportunity for us to have a theater that's walkable and a community space. One of the things that I really baked into this plan is that it will be similar to Stirrup Mundi. That redevelopment has a library. I love Barrett. It is lovely. So I can't bring county programming there, right? So I have this amazing county programming that goes down south, that goes all these places, and I can't bring it to the road. So I'm building a state-of-the-art library that's a community center where we're going to be able to have everything from all kids included, you know, and their arts program to 3D printing, they all coding and innovation, you know, because our kids deserve it. And we need a beautiful community space that everyone can use. So, you know, we'll still be able to use Barrett, but we'll have a beautiful new library.
And Commissioner, before you leave, Neil's probably gonna wait for you outside the door to ask you all these complicated questions. So take a breather, stay for a while, because when you get out the door, he's gonna be waiting for you, even though he came to the meeting late. Right? Yeah, yeah. But Commissioner, thanks for coming. Thank you for your staff. We appreciate everything that you do. Right. All right. That is our public comment. We're gonna move the agenda. Everybody was anxious. You got the right jockey on this horse. We're getting ready to ride. So if I cut you off because you were anxious, we wanted to move the agenda, don't take it personal. Let's go. All right, under my report, I just want to talk about some of the things that we have done. There's a lot of moving parts, but you have to have receipts. That the commissioner gave you receipts. This will be done by, you can ride down there and see it. This was done because of this. You can ride all the philosophy and we think, feel, and should, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, where are the receipts? All right, this board has done some phenomenal things. Number one, we were brave enough to bring our meetings out into the community. It's not me, it was the consensus of the board. This isn't the first time. We've been as far south as the library, down south, South Day Library, North Day Library, Liberty City, all over the place. Where do we go?
Miami Gardens.
Miami Gardens. We've been all over the place. We take it as the norm. That's the exception. All right. And that's one of the major things that this board has done. It was a promise made and it was a promise kept. Bring the meeting out to the people. Even if Neil Shiver comes late with these in-depth questions, bring it out, right? This is why we're here. And Aretha's going to talk about this. I'm extremely proud, and I know this board should be, right? Folks ask all the time, I'm coming to Miami, I'm in Miami, you know, or even us. Where do I go if I wanted this service, that service, the other, that are African-American companies and organizations? We have it ready. So that's another receipt. Promise made, promise kept. We're just not talking about, we're going to put a world guide. Here it is. Yeah, we're going to ask all the questions. We have QR code that you can scan. You can go online and get it. It's digital, the whole 9 yards. Now, there may have been some omissions. There may be some incorrect data, but we tried, but we couldn't hold it any longer. And I want to say that MD has always helped us with funding. I mean, just input to get this off and running. This is a hell of an undertaking. Some of the information may be old, but where you find it, let Ms. Boonfire know. We'll correct it and it'll be right on the next edition. But we've gone out here and this is the receipt. All right. Just some things I just wanted to bring your attention. Our African American Heritage Committee, that's led by Mr. Wright, for Black History Month. If you missed it, it was again downtown in the Stephen Clark building. It's not easy to get to. I want to applaud the African American History Committee. Right? We have our Pillar Awards coming up where we give scholarships and we honor pillars in our community. Another receipt of things we're doing here in the community. So if you're able to come, we warrant that. All right, I'll stop there. There are a lot of things I could, but in the essence of time, we're going to move the agenda forward. Ms. Boonfire, we're ready. If I can have your attention, please.
Oh, I wanted to pass out the Black World Guide.
You
That's
did.
been done.
Does everybody have a copy? Wanted a copy?
If you do not have a copy, I have QR code, and what happens if you scan on it, the document downloads, okay? But I may have 1 or 2 extra copies for the young lady that raised her hand. I'll make sure you get one. That's one. I also gave you to my board, something called the Congressional Black Caucus Tracking System. And what happens is, this is a tracking system that the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation gives out in reference to the executive orders, and it spells out what that executive order is and the implication of what does it do, as well as the impact on our particular community. There is a link that gives you a report for all of the executive orders. I think I shared that link with you already, but this is one of them. So it gives an example of what the order does. It also talks about how would it be enforced, as well as how does it impact our communities and how our CBC members responded. So I'll be sharing that. And if you did give me a copy of your email address, I can make sure that you get that link so that you'll make absolutely sure you can see the rest of it. The Black World Guide I've already done.
Mr. Diggs, your letter's in our Black World Guide, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Also, Mr. Big, if you have some printing money, we need to get more copies done. Is that possible?
Y'all, you know what happened? Y'all were rushing the commissioner out. We could have asked for printing money, so I'm charging it y'all. It's on y'all. So, Mr. D, yeah, that part.
And also, the Office of community advocacy, which I'm a staff member. We have had some adjustments. We have approximately, what is it, Dr. Martin, maybe like 13 boards?
Yeah.
Now those boards are being restructured as a result because we now have a new commissioner who is staffing two of those boards, the Hispanic Affairs Advisory Board as well as the Office of Hispanic Affairs Advisory Board and SEDC, Socioeconomic Development Council. So we're having some juggling going around in those offices, and I'll make the board aware of all of that. I just want to make sure and congratulate Commissioner Milian Corbett. We also have, we're going to be talking a little bit about the update on the Pillow Awards. I'm going to ask Board Member Kanuli Powell to help me with that. And I talked about the adjustments. Not on the agenda is Virginia Key Beach. Virginia Key Beach is now celebrating its 80th year. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge them. So I'll be working with them, as well as talking about doing a village dialogue, another village dialogue on the state of Black Miami in September. And I believe that's it. One other thing, do we want to talk now about new members? Because it comes under that.
Okay.
We have a person here who is interested in becoming a member. She attended our last meeting and she's here today. That's Ms. LaCrista Folks. Did I say that right? LaCrista. And I did pass out her bio to the members. She actually introduced herself at the last meeting, and she is interested again in becoming a member of this board. So I need to move forward on that.
Okay.
I can make a motion on that, Director Boone Fry. I'm aware of Ms. LaCrista Folks. She's very involved in the community. So I make a motion that she be moved into the board.
All right. It's been moved and properly second that we add the addition of Ms. Folks. And before I take the vote, for us, you're gonna have to do it again. Just stand up and give a minute of who you are.
30 seconds.
LaCrista Folks, I've been in Miami. I currently work in Greece through Children's Bereavement Center. I work at the Black as well. And I own my own company called Rooted in Love and Truth. It's a nonprofit called Sour Bone and Healing, where we do meditation work, teaching, and classes that will help our community in this time find a meditation practice that will work for them. And we also hold a meditation Monday at the museum at the Black stage that is free to the community to come enjoy a sound bath, or you can book individual appointments in order to figure out what practice works for you.
All right, it's been moved and properly second. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed have like, right? Hearing none, welcome. And if you all get a chance, go by the Black Police Precinct. It'll change your life, just like the history of Coconut Grove, law enforcement here in the city of Miami, in this county. It's free. And you go by, you see the old courtrooms and all of that kind of stuff. All right, let's move the agenda. All right, this concludes your portion. All righty, we're getting ready to land this plane, everybody. Housing, Mr. Mumford and Ms. Bell.
Okay, so the commissioner talked about the housing, so we don't need to recoup that, but I will state that we are, Mr. Bell and I and other members, all monitoring this House Bill 1365 that the Florida legislature passed in October and took effect January. And it's a bill that allows law enforcement to pick up people off the street that are sleeping or don't, because they don't have housing. And so the House bill says that they can now pick up people that are on the park bench or in the park or whatever the case may be, and then incarcerate these people. And our thing is, why are we incarcerating people? Why aren't we putting them in shelters or housing where they can get the proper services that they may need, as opposed to incarceration? Because being incarcerated is not doing them any good. But you have some people on the street who may have some mental issues. They may have whatever the issue may be, but we don't want them just to be locked up. So we're gonna be monitoring that and see how Miami-Dade County is gonna proceed in regulating that, and we'll have a formal report at another time. I
Okay.
yield my time to Brother Bell. Good?
Given a report.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. We'll move on. The Black Heritage Planning Committee.
I'm gonna yield the floor to co-chair Ms. Powell. But one thing I do want to say is we're in the fourth quarter for this affair, and it's gonna be bigger and better than every year, and we've been doing this for well over 25 years. So we're trying to just continue the code of excellence, and before I turn the floor over to, we are still open.
It's like, the commissioner using acronyms. What are you talking about? The thing is gonna be bigger and better. You've been doing for 25 years. Talk to
It's
them.
our pillars of work. We award, we honor, community organizations who made an impact on Miami-Dade County. And then we also provide seed money for young people who are getting ready to start their career in college, and also to get their
They should name
whole
names
life
of the
status
pillars we can.
from the first stage up. And we provide them with funds that will allow them to take care of some of the things they need to take care of in their first year in college. So we're excited about, we've been doing this and it's better and better. We like the chairman said, we thank Commissioner Regalado because she's been faithful with us and contributing to us every year. So, that's the kind of, sticking your hand in the community that we really need, and we appreciate it. Ms. Powell?
So our pillar awards will be June 14th at 11 a.m. The tickets are $75, and we have confirmed the venue for the Biscayne Bay Marriott. Some of the pillars that we are honoring this year is Rick Beasley with the Career Source of Florida, Kimmy Ursanian, Hazel Thompson, Rose Hedgeman, Tina Brown with the OYC Morning Foundation, and the Jason Jenkins Corporate Community Pillar Award will be going to Lennar Corporation and FIU. We also recently added Miss Nancy Dawkins. She is 101 years old, and she's a community advocate, and you might know her from NCNW. She will receive the Legacy Lifetime Community Pillar Award. We have sponsorship from our commissioners. We've also received sponsorship money from the Dolphins Foundation. So we'll be able to give out those Amazon gift cards that we gave out to the students last year. We also have scholarship money from our board members. Thank you. We still are collecting more scholarship funds.
See,
Right.
we're volunteers. but we
Remind
give
us,
some scholarship
remind
funds.
us.
Yeah.
Please remind us.
Neil Shriver, you wanna give us a donation?
There are accepted donations for scholarships. We have enough for about 3 scholarships right now as of Tuesday. As of Tuesday, we have enough for 3 scholarships. And I believe that is, am I missing anything?
All right.
He passed some money.
Oh, and souvenir ads.
Yes.
We are taking as low as $25 to have your name and business in our souvenir journal. $75 is a half a page and $150 for a whole page.
Okay, and that's to our listening audience as well.
Yes.
Thank you, and I thank all the board members who have given and those who are going to give.
Put it on record. I
It's
just
not
gave
too
mine.
late,
I just gave
And
mine.
that
Put
goes
it
to
on
our
record.
scholarships that we give to the kids. Because in this day and time, it's difficult to raise money, and sometimes you gotta put a little skin in the game, and board members are.
Our chair is setting a benchmark of each member.
That's right. There it is.
Yeah,
There it is.
thank you.
No
All
pressure,
right.
no pressure.
Thank you so much, and we look forward to June 14th. It's gonna be a grand affair, and you're talking about getting roses while you can spell them. Ms. Dawkins is 101 now. And I've seen her around. She'll probably be in attendance. So, thank you. Thank you, committee. Education.
I'm happy that we are in preparation for our annual meeting with the superintendent's office. The tentative date that we have is May the 19th.
providing that our chair is available along with the other members of the education committee and the program director. I would like us
May 19th.
May 19th from 12 to 1:30. I'd like to set a tentative date of the 14th for the education committee as well as the chair and program director to confirm regarding the objectives that we will address during that.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's at 12:30, right? Yep.
Zoom for the 14th, so we will have to confirm as to when we're available.
Board members, you're invited on the 19th, correct?
We'll make it work. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you for that.
Board members, you're invited on the 19th. We're not gonna reschedule, either you're available or you're not. It's taking forever to get this. This will be our second foray. We don't need to discuss here, because I hear it coming. What we're gonna discuss, we need to plan our talking points. And if you're there, if we have 3 talking points, you don't give 4. We stick to the 3. Right? Because we're gonna be unified as a board. All right, and what I personally feel as it relates to our goal and mission in this community, if it's not aligned with what this board's going with, from what we gather from the community, I need to set up my own appointment with the superintendent. How about that? Okay, moving on.
Hey man, can I say something real quick?
Right.
Go ahead. Dr. Malone, Education Committee too, just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying. The new civil rights movement is within the education. And I always continue to say is that our kids are scoring on the bottom of every academic category there is. And that does not at all suggest a bright future, particularly if you want to have a middle-class community. And speaking of Rick Beasley, he wrote an article and he said that in 2011, 861,000 individuals in Miami-Dade County only had a high school diploma and some college. You can't build a middle-class community on that particular foundation. So I'm going to work with everyone and everything. I guess I'm considered some type of rebel with regard to keeping people accountable, superintendent and so on and so forth, all those. Second of all is that I wanted to see if Dr. Amanda was here from the healthcare center. I was gonna want her to speak about the HIV crisis that is going on in Houston and Atlanta. And of course, Miami-Dade County has some of the highest HIV rates in the country. That's important. And I wish she would have came here to provide information. Lastly, is that the young lady spoke about the mortality rates of Black women.
Hold on a second. Is that part of the education committee report?
Well,
Is that part of the education committee report? Because I observed as the commissioner was here, you were walking around. So now we're in it.
No,
So let's move. We're gonna move the agenda, and that completes the report. I'm done. Healthcare, let's go.
I'm gonna give a report.
Okay.
On behalf of this month, which is May, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. I don't know if any of our audience have anyone who's dealing with mental illness or not, but you need to know that it affects each and every household. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, an annual observance founded by Mental Health America in 1949 to highlight the importance of mental well-being, educate the public, reduce stigma, and promote support for those affected by mental health conditions. Each year, individuals and organizations come together to raise awareness and advocate for better mental health care and resources. That can be
Yeah, I have a couple of items.
Okay.
Bloomberg is reporting that pharmaceutical industry is expecting a $1 trillion increase based on the president's proposal that's helped support his tax cut plan. So expect drug prices to go up. The other thing that I had to report, the state of Florida is expected to sign a law banning fluoride in the water. And that law is supposed to go into effect on July 1st.
You don't have anything. All right, crisis intervention and respect for life, no report, economic development, no report. I think that, very short.
Yeah, very short. One of the reasons for this meeting is so that different institutions and representatives of those institutions could come here and get acquainted. And because of the constraints of time, we've had not a chance to recognize representatives from the community action community, with Grace. And of course, you heard from our president, Clarice Cooper. And also we had a representative from Rebuilding Together Miami-Dade here to hopefully Mr. Diggs and them, we can meet briefly afterwards. And we have the president of the CAC, Ms. Linda Williams, and homecoming committee representative Beatrice Mills, and our folks from South Miami and beloved Dr. Joyce Price. And so the idea is to become aware of respective programs and funding sources and the issues that we have so that we can layer and leverage our resources to those common goals. And they are resoundingly housing and economic development. So we'll proceed with here. This is a truncated report. And we have Countess Baglon, who's from the CAC, a lot of good folks, and we don't want to not mention, and we have Carolyn Donaldson, who's a player with Grace. I mentioned Grace, but we have to put face to the form. And these are the people, and of course, Mr. McCants is here. And we have one representative, Mr. Farrell. Oh, there he is. Bruno is there. So we wanted to do that, but this is truncated, is in lieu of the economic development report, but that is the report. Here we are in the room. Let's get acquainted, let's cooperate, let's coordinate and celebrate.
And the reason I push it, I think the commissioner gave an exhaustive economic development housing report. I learned more about Coconut Grove in this area, what's going on from the Playhouse. I mean, Derek, what they're doing, the whole 9 yards. So we didn't want to rehash that. And all of our guests, if you're here, thank you for coming. You know, folks always think that these meetings are going to be hot. We don't get anything accomplished when they're hot. We have to be reasonable and talk. It's just us. And the only way we're going to move this agenda forward is if we do it together. I don't necessarily agree with everybody, but you know what? If it's going to move us together, I'm with it. Pick my battles. There are some things that I'm just passionate about. And guess what I'm going to do? If I'm passionate, I'm carrying it. I'm just not going to scream at the window. I'm going to go in, I'm going to fight, and I may be a victim. But if I'm that passionate about it, and I want everybody to be clear, our meetings should not be hot. We're an advisory board. We're here to listen and learn from each other. All right. And I'm going to move on that note, social media. And I bother him all the time, but he's doing an outstanding job.
Social media, I don't have a formal report. We did take pictures today and they'll be on our Facebook page. Black Affairs Advisory Board on Facebook and Instagram. They're already on the Facebook, so they'll be on Instagram as well. We did take pictures, and just from a social media marketing looks perspective, this is a gorgeous room. And by that I mean it's full, it's packed from the board members to our guests. Everyone looks great, and I'm actually excited for the pictures we got today. So thank you guys for coming, taking your job. But social media, Black Affairs Advisory Board, follow us.
Okay.
I really don't have a report.
Okay, that'll work. Announcements. This Saturday, positive. There's a NAMI walk, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, at Lone Depot Park. Raising money. Lone Depot Park is the Marna Stadium. Raising money for mental health awareness and research. All right. on a note, something that's thrown me off this morning. The Department of Education in Washington DC has just stopped funding for mental health services in our schools. Now, if y'all want to go fight for something, I'm with you. I'm gonna be the first one at the gate. I'm gonna be standing there waiting. I'll go to the school board or wherever it is. That's what I'm hot on, right? Our kids who are suffering from mental illness, they stop the funding, right? And it's not the superintendent's fault. The federal government, the Department of Education, it's gonna trickle down. So either we're gonna band together and say no for the least of us, or we're gonna continue to try to make things hot. That's a distraction. Okay? If you can come out to the NAMI walk, any donation whatsoever, if you go to their website, there's a Black advisory committee for NAMI, and Sherrod Johnson has been here before to our board. We have to bring attention to those things that affect us when others don't bring attention to them, right? So that really shook me to the core. Over $1 billion, they're not gonna fund anymore. It's coming from Washington. I'm not going down to beat up on the superintendent. I'm trying to figure out how can we help advocate with our local school boards to advocate to the state, to advocate to the Department of Education nationwide to say this is important. And it's not, it's colorblind as far as I'm concerned. Kids are kids, right? So sign me up if you want to go down to 1450 Northeast 2nd Avenue to the school board building. I'm there to offer our assistance in helping them. They probably got the news like we got it. It's not their fault, but take $1 billion out and see what happens. We got NAMI coming up. We got our Pillar Awards coming up. I'm keeping it positive, y'all. Right? There's a lot of things coming up. Something I want you all to think about. 2025 is the 60th anniversary of anybody who graduated in the class of 1965. Anybody in here? Anyway,
I know.
I did some research because I was at an event where they honored a high school, Miami Northwestern, class of 1965. And I said to myself, I was just born. But what was going on? Because they say that class was the most impactful, one of the most impactful classes ever to graduate from that school. And I said, well, what makes them impactful? What was going on in the United States? And I'm gonna end with this. In 1965, based upon my research, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Voters' Rights Act. The Civil Rights Act was signed in 64. Okay, 1965 were the Watts riots in LA. Okay, 1965 was when we had Bloody Sunday on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated. So imagine this, Vietnam was cranking back up in 1965. You're a graduate, high school graduate, and you're going into the world, into this. If nothing else, they had to be the most resilient class in the history of high school classes. Either you went to work, college, or you went to Vietnam, right? And everything was going. And then 1968, you had Martin Luther King assassinated. So that class was thrust into a world that was doing this in circles. So that's my 1965 thing. Any new business? Come on.
Like to give acknowledgement to matriarch Ida Patch, who's in the transition.
Yes.
So we can have a brief moment of silence for her, please. Thank you.
The board will be sending something on our behalf.
And I'll be attending her funeral on behalf of this board and myself as well. Ida Cash is the mother of attorney Yolanda Cash Jackson and the widow of the late Reverend James Cash.
Chair, I'm happy to announce that the board has now raised $1,000 for our scholarship. So we have a scholarship that will be presented at the Pillow Awards on behalf of the, we still need some more money, y'all. So
Yeah.
we have $1,000 scholarship, which was our minimum amount.
Okay, Mr. Bell.
Chair, this is off of the minutes. Just want it to be known here that Riverside House, which is a residential reentry facility, is hiring entry-level positions. We have about 5 positions open. Starting salary is $17.50, health insurance, 10 paid holidays, etc.
What are the positions?
Resident monitors, intake monitors.
Intake monitors?
I'll send it to your office.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Anything else?
Just finally, I
Come
just
on.
want to thank the Grovites who show up strong,
Yes.
always here. We distinguish ourselves. Give yourself applause. Grove, don't say, I appreciate you and our South Miami cousins, because we all kin folks and skin folks. And we show out as far as the standard. We're pace setters, so we couldn't encapsulate everything we want to do with, but this is just the beginning. So let's stay tuned in, and thank you again for participating and showing up for Coconut Grove,
And y'all,
South Miami.
we're here because of the idea of, as a board, we're coming in the community. And Mr. Rashid kept saying, come to Coconut Grove, come to Coconut Grove. We're ready, we're ready. So because of you that we're here, y'all, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. Ms. Simpkins?
I have an announcement. To the board. I don't know if any of you all are following our chair on social media, but our chair received a nice award. And I wasn't there to say, go, Mr. Pierre, go. But he got a award, a distinguished award. And I think for all of what he has been doing for our board, we need to recognize him also with a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else from the board? I'm gonna tell you where I get my energy from. When I see Sandy Sears over there, the quiet storm, that pushes me, and she always has a smile, right? No matter what. So I'm not coming in here hot, right? Because our community deserves better. If you're not gonna put money up, if you're not gonna show up, then up, right? Just told you we lost $1 billion, and it's not sitting well with me, with kids with mental illness. It is what it is. There are kids. Now, who's gonna show up at the next school board meeting? Not to bash the superintendent or the board members, because it came down, right? Department of Education made that call. We need to let them know that, listen, y'all got the final say so on the legislation. However, it's important. I mean, when you go to a lot of these schools and you see a lot of things happen, it's because of the fights and a lot of other things. They're not bad kids. They're just situations that things are not firing. It's like a car that's out of tune, not firing, and it's not their fault. So if you love the kids, I'm not gonna say that y'all can't read, that y'all fighting each other. And that's fact. We fought each other when I was in school. I went to school with people who couldn't read. Okay? Let's be honest. I was fortunate to be one that did. Everybody knows that, but I will never bash our people. Right? I will offer to help. If they can't read, let's get together and let's set up avenues for them to come after school for free, where we teach them how to read. No matter what you say, the proverb says that when you came into the village, they said, where are the children? And if you couldn't answer that, that means your community was dying.
Can I say something real quick?
All right, you're out of order.
No, I'm not out of order, because.
One more time. We're closing the meeting.
With, being hot.
Nobody was talking to you.
No, I'm not, you don't have to talk to me.
Nobody was talking to you.
What I'm
Okay.
saying.
All right, you out of order.
You
out, okay, go ahead.
What I'm saying is that because somebody's passionate about their kids, for 20 some odd years, I was a substitute. I was on the front line. When I was dealing with kids that can barely read. And for anyone to allow this kind of stuff to happen in our community is doing a disservice for it. And anybody who's being a gatekeeper to it is not doing a disservice to our community. When you see what's going on in our schools right now with regard to kids who are 3 and 4 years behind their class about their grade, that is a crisis. And it's not reflective on the community. It's reflected on how the community is right now. It's reflected on the violence that continue to go in our community right now. It's reflected on the violence that goes with the teachers right now, who's been being attacked. We need to do something about it. We need to wake up. And because somebody cares about it, gives a damn about it, we should be shut up. Because I've been there.
You
I don't
finished?
see, and I haven't seen too many people who say about things being hot, being there himself. So I want to make that clear to you.
Okay, we're gonna move the agenda. Hey, this is a great day. Y'all see me smiling. Everybody has their own opinion, right?
Next time
And we gonna move on.
Adjourn the meeting.